In 1989, Capcom joined forces with manga publisher Moto Keikaku to release a hack and slash platform game unlike any other before it. And the result was Strider, or Strider Hiryu as it was known in Japan. The game marked the third entry in Capcom's CPS library of games and was praised for its innovative gameplay, unique music style, and various multilingual voice samples. The game has 5 stages set in various locations in a dystopian future in the year 2048, which isn't actually too far from now. A mysterious dictator known only as the Grand Master rules the world, and a group of high-tech ninjas known as Striders send Hiryu out alone to overthrow him. So no pressure then at all. The player controls Strider Hiryu, whose main weapon is a Tonfa-like plasma sword known as a cipher. He can perform numerous acrobatic feats, such as jumping up and down, cartwheel jumps and slides. As well as his sliding move, both jumps can also be used to destroy weaker opponents. Hiryu is also able to latch onto certain platforms and climb across walls and ceilings using a metallic hook. While running down a sloped surface, Hiryu can gain enough momentum to allow him to do a longer cartwheel jump than usual. On his way to the battle with the Grandmaster, Strider can collect various power-ups that can extend the range of his cipher sword, and some power-ups even allow him to summon robotic companions, such as a saber-toothed tiger and a robotic hawk, as well as 2 droids. Certain power-ups also allow Strider to regain health, or even extend his health bar to allow Strider to sustain more damage. The gameplay in Strider was fairly unique for 1989, in that most levels had a boss, but not always at the end of each level. If we take a look at level 2, we can see this massive robotic gorilla at the start, and this annoying Boba Fett inspired mid-level boss. But at the end of the level, you just walk into the cockpit of the flying fortress. None of the bosses were really difficult to beat in the game, although they did look very impressive, with this centipede at the end of level 1 looking fabulous and a real standout at the time. The original arcade game soundtrack was composed entirely by female video game music composer Junko Tamiya, who was not credited for her work in the arcade version, but was mentioned as part of the original arcade staff in some console adaptations. And each level does not have the same theme from start to finish. It changes to suit the scenes of the level, just like a 50s sci-fi B-movie or something. The Japanese version of the game has Strider yell out this war cry every time he swings his cipher sword, but was later removed for Western releases. The sound was excellent in this game, with lots of bangs and explosions all over the place, and all of these robotic chirrups and various sounds from the mechanical enemies. The visuals were absolutely outstanding at the time of this game's release. Very well detailed backgrounds and good use of colour graduation helped give a real depth to the settings. Some neat graphical tricks like the power station blackouts, leaving only silhouettes, were impressive and really helped set the visuals apart from other games at the time. enemy sprites looked excellent as well, with plenty of Soviet inspired clothing seen on lots of the enemies, helping to create the whole Iron Curtain look and feel. Other enemies like the guards on the battleship look different class as well, and the helmet they are wearing kind of looks Star Wars inspired and very cool. The main sprite is really neat. The walk looks a little limited, but the animation on the slide and the cartwheel are impressive. But the best animation has to be when Strider climbs using his hook. It looks a little like Spider-Man's crawl and is well animated. The still scenes between levels use these Avatar style mugshots, accompanied with tons of sampled speech, which help progress the game along each level. And considering this was an early CPS1 release, it certainly showed off what was possible with the hardware. From the minute you pop a credit into the game, it draws you in. I've said in a different video that this introduction was one of the greatest ever seen in a video game. Seriously. He just drops in off a hand glider and immediately starts raising all hell. It's just brilliant. I didn't really play Strider all that often in the arcade. It was one of those games I had heard loads about, but it was also a game that my local arcades never had. The first time I got to play Strider in the arcades was when the shows came into town, and I made the most of the limited opportunity to get in a few good goes. And boy, did I love this game. I wasn't any good at it. I found the going to be very tough, but the gameplay was just so addictive that it kept me coming back for more. I spent a few quid on it to try and beat it. I could tell at the time it wasn't going to be an easy game to port over to the Sega Master System, so I didn't hold out much hope of being able to play it at home. And with Capcom being good bedfellows with Nintendo, I couldn't see myself buying an NES just to play this game. So this only left the Amiga and Atari ST. Now, I did have a few mates who had these 16-bit micros, but to be honest, the quality of some of these arcade ports was a little depressing, really. And Strider was no different. But by the time I got my Sega Megadrive in 1990, Strider had already been released in Japan for Sega's new 16-bit machine, and so I knew this was a game I was definitely going to get at some point. I got my Sega Megadrive in October 1990, and by February 1991 Strider was out in the UK, but seeing as it came on this huge 8 megabit cartridge, it was 45 quid, which was too pricey for my wallet, and so I would have to wait to get it on a pre-used copy. A mate of mine who had got a Megadrive for Christmas in 1990 had this cartridge adapter that allowed for Japanese games to be played on a UK Megadrive, and so I got thinking to myself, I wonder if I can pick this up used as a Japanese version. And so I did. I traded in Super Real Basketball and £7, and I got Strider on the Japanese format, and I was very happy. I managed to save about 8 quid, and I got a game I had been itching to play for about a year and a half. The port of Strider to the Mega Drive was an excellent conversion. Originally, Sega wanted to squeeze it onto a 6 megabit cartridge, but when they seen that they couldn't get a decent port onto that cartridge, they opted to put it onto an 8 megabit cartridge. And boy, was it the best decision Sega made or what. The overall appearance of this version is so very close to the arcade, with only subtle changes made to the playing area to accommodate the HUD. And at first glance, it's really difficult to tell what version you're looking at. Even the blackout in level 2 has been included. As usual, the size of the sprites has taken a hit, and all of the sprites are that little bit smaller compared to the arcade counterparts. But each sprite has a staggering amount of detail on them, and the backgrounds look every bit as good as their arcade counterparts too. The sound is equally as impressive as the visuals, with just about every sound effect and tune from the arcade present here. But the sampled speech between the levels is missing, and the mugshot avatars are also missing some detail and look a little smaller as well. But the gameplay is outstanding. When I played this at home for the first time in the Mega Drive, it played exactly how I remembered it in the arcade. Although, sometimes there is a teeny weeny amount of slowdown in levels, but not bad enough that it ruins the game or anything. But there was bound to be some limitations when porting from the CPS-1 to the Mega Drive. The game did play a little easier than the arcade version, but there are multiple difficulty settings in the option menu that can provide a steeper challenge, if you like that sort of thing. The Mega Drive version was praised for its accurate and detailed faithfulness to the original. Upon release, GamePro magazine called the Mega Drive port a faithful translation of the arcade hit, and praised its gorgeous graphics, non-stop arcade style action, and captivating and unusual soundtrack. EGM magazine awarded the Mega Drive port Best Video Game of the Year in 1990 and winner of their Best Graphics category. Strider went on to become a bestseller for Sega in each region where it was released, and rightly so. It is an absolute beast of a game. With praise like that, it gave me plenty of ammunition to stick it to the Amiga and Atari ST owners over their version of Strider, which was crap, frankly. But it was all good playground banter, really. Games like Strider, Ghouls and Ghosts, and Altered Beast showed the UK market that there was a new sheriff in town, and it was called the Sega Mega Drive. And it was about £200 cheaper than the 16-bit home micros as well. Overall, Strider is one of the best games and one of the best home ports ever produced for the Sega Mega Drive, and is well worth a play if you haven't played it already. If you like this video, or indeed my channel, then please give me a sub and a thumbs up. And a big thank you to all those who have subscribed already. It does mean a lot. That's all from me, folks. Thanks for watching.